America has the world's most feared attack helicopter. It's been in service for 30 years. It dominates every battlefield it flies over. Nothing can match its firepower. Nothing matches its reputation. But America made a decision that would change everything. They gave this helicopter to the British military. Same airframe, same basic design, but the British didn't just accept what America gave them. They opened it up, replaced the engines, added new weapons systems, integrated British command networks, and when they were done, they had created something that made Pentagon planners ask a quiet question. Did we just give our closest ally a weapon that's now better than our own? This is the story of how the British turned an American legend into a rival.
To understand what the British did, you need to understand what America created. The AH-64 Apache. First deployed by the U.S. Army in 1984, and for nearly 4 decades, it's been the standard against which all attack helicopters are measured. Here's how it works. 2 massive rotor blades, 2 General Electric T700 turboshaft engines, each producing 1,690 horsepower. The helicopter can carry devastating firepower. 16 Hellfire air-to-ground missiles, 76 Hydra 70 rockets, a 30mm chain gun that can fire thousands of rounds per minute. The Apache can engage targets 150 kilometers away. It operates at night using thermal imaging and forward-looking infrared. It can fight in conditions where other helicopters can't even see. For 30 years, the Apache dominated. Every major conflict in the last 3 decades, the Apache showed up. Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, Yemen, counterterrorism operations across the Middle East, the Apache was there. Why did it succeed? Because it was built for a specific mission: American power projection in the Middle East, desert operations, hot climates, long supply lines supported by American logistics. That's what the Apache was engineered for. But by the 1990s, the Pentagon realized something. This weapon was so effective, so reliable, that other countries wanted it. Allies wanted it. The British asked for it first. And the Pentagon made a decision. Yes, we'll give the Apache to Britain. We'll sell them our best attack helicopter. We expect they'll depend on us for support, parts, upgrades, everything. What the Pentagon didn't expect was what happened next. Britain faces a unique strategic situation. It's an island nation, different threats than continental Europe. The Arctic is to the north, harsh, cold, unforgiving. The North Sea has strategic importance. The Atlantic approaches to Britain need defending. Britain isn't fighting in deserts like America. Britain is defending an island, protecting Arctic approaches, managing maritime threats. So when the Pentagon gave Britain the Apache, Britain realized something quickly. This helicopter is excellent, absolutely excellent, but it's built for American strategy, not British needs. The Apache engines are designed for hot climates. Reliability drops in cold. The helicopter is fundamentally a land-based platform, no real capability for maritime operations. It depends entirely on American supply chains. Parts come from America, ammunition comes from America. Command integration flows through American networks. For an island nation defending its own waters, that dependency was a problem. So Britain made a decision that would have surprised Pentagon planners. They said, "We'll take your Apache, but we're going to make it our helicopter. Not a copy, not a minor modification, a fundamental redesign, optimized for British needs, built with British engineering, dependent on British supply chains." They partnered with Westland, the British aerospace company. They invested in indigenous upgrades. They said to themselves, "We're going to take an American weapon and make it into something only Britain can operate independently." That's when the real engineering began. The British started with the engines. The standard Apache uses General Electric T700 turboshaft engines. American engines, powerful, reliable, but designed for American operational environments. Britain replaced them with Rolls-Royce RTM322 turboshaft engines, more power, 1,940 horsepower versus the GE engine's 1,690. That's a 15 to 20% increase in available power. But the real advantage is different. The Rolls-Royce engine runs cooler, lower thermal signature. That matters in modern warfare. Heat-seeking missiles lock onto thermal radiation.
A cooler engine means the helicopter is harder to detect, harder to target, more survivable. Britain also changed the engine management systems. Cold weather optimization. The RTM322 was engineered for European operations, not desert operations. It starts reliably in Arctic temperatures. It operates in rain, fog, snow, conditions where the American engines needed more maintenance. Next came the fire control systems. The standard Apache has excellent radar, but Britain upgraded to Longbow radar. Better resolution, better target tracking, the ability to guide multiple Hellfire missiles simultaneously at different targets. Think about what that means. Standard Apache fires one missile at one time. Longbow Apache can fire 4 missiles at 4 different targets, all guided independently. That's quadruple the simultaneous firepower. Britain also integrated British fire control computers, not American systems, British systems, command systems that work with British doctrine, British tactical networks. That means the British Apache can fight independently without American command authority, without American permission. Then came the weapons systems. The standard Apache is a ground attack platform. It hunts tanks, it targets vehicles, it destroys fortifications. But Britain had a different need, maritime defense. So Britain integrated anti-ship missiles into the British Apache, Sea-Skua missiles, designed to hunt naval vessels, frigates, corvettes, patrol boats, fast attack craft. Now the British Apache could do something the American Apache cannot, hunt ships, an attack helicopter that can defend against naval threats. Only the British variant has this capability. Britain also enhanced air-to-air defense systems. Standard Apache has limited capability against enemy helicopters. British Apache was upgraded with better air-to-air systems. If an enemy helicopter shows up, the British Apache can fight it. Ammunition flexibility. The standard Apache depends on American Hellfire missiles. If you want different ammunition, you ask America. You wait for American production. You depend on American supply chains. The British Apache was integrated to fire British-manufactured munitions, different Hellfire variants, British-developed missiles, independent ammunition supply. Britain controls the ammunition. Britain manufactures it. Britain deploys it. Then came something unique. Maritime integration. The British Apache was designed to operate from ships, Royal Navy ships, frigates, destroyers, naval platforms. The British Apache has salt spray corrosion resistance, vibration tolerance for ship operations, can be deployed on naval vessels for extended operations at sea. The American Apache is a land-based platform. You can ship one to a ship, but it's not designed for that role. The British Apache was engineered for it from the ground up. That gives Britain something remarkable, an attack helicopter that can defend the Atlantic approaches, protect convoys, hunt submarines using sonobuoys and torpedoes, operate from British naval vessels, defend British waters. The American Apache can't do any of that. Britain also optimized everything for European climate. Cold weather reliability, rain resistance, fog operations, icing conditions, systems tested in Arctic deployments. The British Apache was built to fight in European conditions, not desert conditions. By the time the British were finished, they had taken an American helicopter and rebuilt it from the engines up. Not copied, rebuilt, reimagined, optimized for British needs, independent from American supply chains, capable of operations the American Apache cannot. The Pentagon thought they were giving Britain a copy of their best weapon. Instead, they ended up giving Britain a completely different weapon optimized for British strategy. Britain didn't try to beat America at America's game. Britain changed the game.
The Pentagon is quietly regretting this, not because the British Apache is technically superior in every category. It's not. The American Apache still has more combat experience, still has better global support, still proven in more theaters. But the Pentagon regrets it for a different reason. Pentagon expected that giving Britain an attack helicopter would keep Britain dependent on America. Supply chain dependency, logistics dependency, command integration dependency. The Pentagon thought, give Britain our Apache, and Britain stays tied to American military support. Britain needs our parts. Britain needs our ammunition. Britain needs our logistics network. That gives us leverage. Instead, Britain said, no, we'll be independent. Britain built independent supply chains, Rolls-Royce engines, British manufactured ammunition, British fire control systems, British command networks, British naval integration. Now Britain can wage sustained helicopter operations without American approval, without American ammunition, without American logistics support. The dependency Pentagon expected never materialized. That's a loss of leverage. For 30 years, Pentagon's strategy was built on something simple. Control the supply chain, you control the ally. American weapons, American ammunition, American logistics, American networks. That meant allies depended on America. That meant America had leverage. Britain just eliminated that leverage for attack helicopter operations. Pentagon also underestimated British engineering. They expected Britain to make minor modifications, add some paint, tweak the systems, still fundamentally dependent on American technology. Instead, Britain engineered something new. Different engines, different fire control, different weapons, different maritime integration, different command systems. Now, Pentagon strategists face a question they didn't plan for. Should we adopt British improvements? Should we upgrade American Apaches with Rolls-Royce engines? Should we add anti-ship capability to our own helicopters? But saying yes means admitting Britain's solution was better, creates political awkwardness, undermines the image of American technical dominance. So Pentagon stays quiet about what Britain achieved. The real regret isn't technical, it's strategic. Pentagon gave an ally a weapon. That ally didn't just accept it. That ally improved it. That ally made it independent. That ally became a peer innovator, not a grateful subordinate. Pentagon expected a subordinate. They got a peer competitor instead. And that shift from dependent ally to independent innovator is something Pentagon didn't anticipate. Pentagon still controls global military supremacy, still has the biggest defense budget, still has the most advanced weapons, but they just realized they don't control British attack helicopter operations anymore. Britain does. That's a loss of a different kind. Not military power, but strategic influence. What does this mean? For Britain, Britain is no longer dependent on American helicopter support. Britain can fight independently. Britain controls its own attack helicopter capability. For NATO, European members are innovating on American technology, not just buying it, not just accepting it, engineering it, improving it, becoming peer competitors. For America, Pentagon lost something, not military capability. American Apaches are still excellent, but influence. The assumption that American weapons create American leverage, that's weakening. For the future, other NATO allies are watching. Other countries are asking, can we do what Britain did? Can we take American weapons and make them our own? Can we become independent? Pentagon gave Britain an attack helicopter and expected a grateful subordinate ally. Instead, they got a peer innovator. The British didn't copy America's Apache. They engineered something completely different, optimized for their mission, their climate, their strategic needs, their maritime requirements, their command systems. Pentagon thought they were building alliance dependency through weapons sales. They were actually building alliance innovation. And that's a different kind of strategic loss entirely. Not about firepower, about influence, about the assumption that whoever controls the technology controls the relationship.